Good morning. This morning it looks like rain, so I don't know how long I'm going to be sitting out here. But I'm thinking about my maternal grandparents these days. Yesterday I picked probably a half a bushel of tomatoes off of my 8 tomato plants, and I ended up canning like 6 more quarts of tomatoes because, I don't know, that's what I do. That's what I learned to do as a kid. I remember growing up in Wisconsin, and as some of you know, my home life was pretty much a shit show. The one really good thing about it was my maternal grandparents, and every summer they would take me for at least a week, sometimes several weeks, to go and just hang out with them at their house. And my grandfather had been raised back in the day, raising their own food, doing all of that preserving and whatnot. So my grandfather Jack and I spent a lot of time in the garden. I think that's why I still like doing it. Gardening and playing in the dirt probably has saved me thousands of dollars in therapy bills. I'm not even joking. There's something about that whole thing, preparing the soil, putting the plants in. And I remember many times in the summer heat working with the hoe, when hoe used to mean a farm implement, not someone you used to date. And we would be doing this thing and getting the weeds in between the rows of beans and carrots and tomatoes and all that. And he would say quite often, we have to cultivate our garden. We have to cultivate our garden. And I thought that was really kind of a queer thing to say, even as a kid, because he said it like every summer. It wasn't until I was in college, finishing my second major, which is in French, and I learned something about that statement. It comes from the play Carmen. It's the last line of the play. Il faut cultiver notre jardin. I was blown away, and I had a revelation moment in that class. Il faut cultiver notre jardin. We have to cultivate our garden. The basic story of Carmen is this. Just like my personal life as a kid, the world all around Carmen was a shit show. The government was corrupt. The church was, super corrupt. Everything was falling to pieces. Relationships were damaged. Nothing is going well. So what does she do? She goes onto her little plot of land and she cultivates her garden. And people say to her, what are you doing? The world is a shit show. You got stuff to do. This is all you're going to do? And she just repeats again, il faut cultiver notre jardin. That is really deep. And the fact that it came from my grandfather, who was in many ways a father figure to me, that really makes it special to me. We have to cultivate our garden. Look, we're living in a crazy-ass time right now. There's violence in our streets. White supremacist violence under this administration is up 55%. These are scary times for all of us. What are we going to do? We're going to cultivate our garden. It's all we can do. If I want to see peace in the world, but I am an angry, troubled, resentful kind of person, what are the odds that I'm going to see world peace break out around me? It's not. The only plot of land, the only little sliver of this life that I can control is my own little garden. Il faut cultiver notre jardin. So if I want world peace, I have to make peace here. If I want to see more kindness and less judgment, I have to choose to be more kind. I have to choose to be less judgmental. It really is very basic. The thing that I want to see out here has to become real in here. Il faut cultiver notre jardin. Grandpa Jack was right. Let's pray. Father, Mother God, we thank you for the blessing of another day to cultivate the garden of our hearts. Help us to uproot the weeds of racism and sexism and judgment. Help us to be attentive to what is growing in our hearts right now. We accept your grace this morning. We accept your guidance, your inner light that gives us wisdom and courage and another reason to move forward, even when we doubt. For all of this hot mess of a world in which we find ourselves, we give you thanks, because it gives us an opportunity, gracious God, to cultivate our garden. Il faut cultiver notre jardin. Let's make it a great, thankful, weed-free kind of a day. God bless.